Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's March 6, 2026, and we are going to read from Exodus chapter 17 and Luke chapter 20. All right. Exodus chapter 17. Then all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandment of the Lord, and he camped in Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people contended with Moses and said, "Give us water that we may drink." So Moses said to them, "Why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord?" And the people thirsted there for water, and the people complained against Moses and said, "Why is it you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" How soon they have forgotten already. So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, "What shall I do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me." And the Lord said to Moses, "Go on before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel. Also take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, that the people may drink." And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So he called the name of this place Massah and Meribah, because of the contention of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" So this is a hard lesson that God is trying to teach these Jews, that they need to trust in him for everything. He's got them. He led them out of Egypt to bring them into the promised land of Canaan. He's not going to abandon them. They're not going to starve. They're not going to die of thirst. They're not going to be attacked and defeated. And we're going to get to that in this next section. Verse 8. Now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim, and Moses said to Joshua, "Choose us some men and go out, fight with the Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand." So they don't have an army yet. They're just going to grab some people and go. Take some volunteers. So Joshua did as Moses said to him and fought with Amalek. So they should not win. They're a ragtag bunch of ex-slaves going against a professional, seasoned, hardened army. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And so it was when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy, so they took a stone and they put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. So the people concede, look up there, that hey, when Moses has his hand up to God, we're winning, and when Moses can't lift his hands to God, we lose. God is fighting this fight for us. Verse 14, Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this for a memorial in the book, and recount it in the hearing of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven." So God says, you know what, because Amalek attacked you when I didn't want you to have to go through this right now, Amalek is destroyed. That's my judgment on them, and it takes quite a while. Saul fights them, David fights them. This is a persistent thorn in the side of Israel, the Amalekites. There you go. I knew I would get it right sooner or later. All right. Verse 15, And Moses built an altar and called its name, "The Lord is my banner," Jehovah Nisi, or Yahweh Nisi. For he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So they become almost a permanent enemy until they're finally wiped out. Luke chapter 20. Now it happened on one of those days as he, Jesus, taught the people in the temple and preached the gospel. So he just cleansed the temple and threw out the money changers, and he's sitting up and he's teaching. And the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes were afraid to come after him because the people were on his side. They already know that. But the chief priests and the scribes, together with the elders, confronted him and spoke to him, saying, so they finally got up the nerve to come and talk to him. "Tell us, by what authority are you doing these things? Or who is he who gave you this authority?" But he answered and said to them, "I also will ask you one thing, and answer me. The baptism of John, was it from heaven or from men?" And they reasoned among themselves, saying, if we say from heaven, he will say, why then did you not believe him? But if we say from men, all the people will stone us, for they are persuaded that John was a prophet. So they answered that they did not know where it was from. And Jesus said to them, well, neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. Then he began to tell the people this parable. A certain man planted a vineyard, leased it to vine dressers, and went into a far country for a long time. So the father is the man who planted the vineyard. nation of Israel. The vine dressers would be the ones to take care of it, the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the scribes. Verse 10, now at vintage time he sent a servant to the vine dressers, one of his prophets, that they might give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. All of the people that they're saving in his name. But the vine dressers beat him and sent him away empty-handed. Again he sent another servant. They beat him also, treated him shamefully, and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent a third, and they wounded him also and cast him out. Then the owner of the vineyard said, what shall I do? I will send my beloved son, Jesus. But probably they will respect him when they see him. But when the vine dressers saw him, they reasoned among themselves, saying, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance may be ours. So we can get out from under God if we kill his son, because then we can take his place. Verse 15, so they cast him out of the vineyard and they killed him. Therefore, what will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those vine dressers and give the vineyard to others. Going to go to the Gentiles if the Israelites don't want it. And when they heard it, they said, certainly not. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. This is Wednesday of his last week. So 2 days later, Jesus will be dead. Then Jesus, 17, looked at them and said, what then is this that is written? The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Whoever falls on that stone will be broken, but on whomever it falls, it will grind him to powder. And the chief priests and the scribes that very hour sought to lay hands on him, but they feared the people, for they knew he had spoken this parable against them. So they watched him, and they sent spies who pretended to be righteous, that they might seize on his words in order to deliver him to the power and with the authority of the governor. So they're going to try and trip him up in some words. Get him to say something that they can run to the Romans and say, oh, look, he's a revolutionary, you ought to come get him. Or say something positive about the Romans, or say something that the people are going to take offense at. And then they can say, well, see, we knew he wasn't that really good after all. Verse 2, verse 21, then they asked him, saying, Teacher, we know that you say and teach rightly, and you do not show personal favoritism, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? He says no. He goes to the Romans. He says yes. The people don't like paying taxes. But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, why do you test me? Show me a denarius. Whose image and inscription does it have? They answered and said, Caesar's. And he said to them, render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. But they could not catch him in his words in the presence of the people, and they marveled at his answer and kept silent. Then some of the Sadducees, who deny that there is a resurrection, came to him and asked him. They also only believe in the first 5 books of the Old Testament. They believe they like Moses. That's all they want. Verse 28, saying, Teacher, Moses wrote to us that if a man's brother dies having a wife, and he dies without children, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. That's called Levirate marriage, and we'll get to that in the Old Testament shortly. Now there were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife and died without children, and the second took her his wife, and he died childless. Then the third took her, and in like manner the 7 also, and they left no children, and died. Last of all, the woman died also. Therefore in the resurrection, whose wife does she become? For all 7 had her as a wife. Ridiculous setup. They don't believe in the resurrection at all, so the question is essentially meaningless to them. They're just trying to set up something to get an answer from Jesus that they can pounce on. Verse 34, Jesus answered and said to them, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are counted worthy to attain that age and the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage, nor can they die anymore, for they are equal to the angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. So he's like, no, you don't understand what this resurrection is, clearly. You don't just, it's not just a continuation of what's going on here. The kingdom living is going to be different. There is no such thing as marriage there. Verse 37, but even Moses showed in the burning bush passage that the dead are raised. So now he's going to get to their disbelief in resurrection. When he called the Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. For he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. So he didn't say they were the God of Jacob. He used to be the God of Abraham. No, he still is, because they still are. Verse 39, then some of the scribes answered and said, Teacher, you have spoken well. But after that they dared not question him anymore. And he said to them, How can they say that Christ is the son of David? Now David himself said in the book of Psalms, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. Therefore David calls him Lord. How is he then his son? So they understood the Messiah was a son of David, and they think that means he must be just a man, and that's it. But Jesus is pointing out, no, David recognizes that the Son is above him. He must be divine. How do you reconcile that? Because Jesus is here and he's showing you how you reconcile that. You just refuse to see him. Verse 45, then in the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, beware of the scribes who desire to go around in long robes, love greetings in the marketplaces, the best seats in the synagogues, and the best places at feasts, who devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. These will receive greater commendation. Condemnation. There we go. That's a better word. Commendation would be a positive thing. They don't get that. They get condemnation. That's the negative word. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.